2019 Volvo XC40 first drive, affordable luxury done right. Finally, a small premium SUV that actually seems like a great deal. It's always a big ask to transfer all the virtues of larger, more expensive luxury vehicles to smaller, more affordable ones. The best example is the burgeoning luxury small crossover segment, where so many models disappoint because they just don't feel very luxurious, lacking the style, refinement, driving poise, or features of other models in their company's range. So the 2019 Volvo XC40 is hugely refreshing because it actually does feel just as nice as Volvo's XC60 and XC90. Volvo describes the XC40 as a cousin to those models rather than a sibling because the new crossover is not simply a scaled-down version of the XC60 and XC90. The design brief was to build a tough little robot, a dorky but apt descriptor when you see the XC40's squat stance with the wheels pushed out to the far corners. The first car on Volvo's compact modular architecture, CMA, the XC40 is a not too compact 174.2 inches long and 65.0 tall, with a healthy 8.3 inches of ground clearance. A sharp clamshell hood starts off the taut design, while the body sides are devoid of modern cars' usual shoulder lines and instead are accented by a light catcher at the bottom of the doors. The beltline kicks up sharply at the back of the rear windows, and there's a big spoiler above the otherwise relatively Spartan liftgate. Variants on Volvo's Thor's Hammer LED running lights and L-shaped LED taillights help identify the car from a distance in traffic. White, the optional white roof on base models, or the gloss black roof on R design trims. There's even more street presence. The only bum note is a small piece of plastic on the C-pillar. It's there to cover the paint transition between body and roof, but it produces annoying lines that you can't unsee once you notice them. A little rubber Swedish flag sticking out from the hood shutline is a cute touch. It's only planned to be fitted to the first 5,000 XC40s sold globally, although Volvo is considering whether to expand it if it proves a hit with customers. The flag was first implemented on the Volvo 40.1 concept that very closely previewed this production model's look. Volvo's interior designers have managed to balance practicality with fun inside the XC40. There are no speakers in the front doors, for instance, to provide more storage space, and carpeting covers the inner door trim, rather than just plastic, to prevent belongings from rattling. On the other end, you can option wild orange carpeting if your eyeballs are so brave. It's a roomy vehicle. My 6-foot-tall co-driver has leg and headroom to spare in the back seats, and I would even be happy to sit in the middle rear space for short rides. The R-Design modules available from my test drive look and feel expensive throughout, with contrast-stitched leather seats, aluminum dashboard trim, and switches that move with a precise click-click action. Most of the technologies and switchgear from the XC60 and XC90 trickle down to this model, meaning a full-color instrument cluster. It can show map directions or album art, for instance, and the super simple Sensus touchscreen infotainment display. Climate controls and steering wheel heating are handled on the touchscreen, so there are only a few physical buttons on the clean center stack. Unlike in larger Volvo models, the engine start-stop button is on the dash by the steering wheel, not the center console. Sadly, this car also has Volvo's dorky electric shifter, which requires 2 nudges to move from park to drive, or from reverse to drive. Ingenious storage solutions abound. There are slots to hold parking or access cards to the left of the driver's knee, a parking stub holder on the windshield, a removable trash can in the center console, and a fold-out hook on the glove box store ideal for hanging a purse, small grocery bag, or your takeout order. The door pockets will hold a 15-inch laptop, my MacBook Pro fit easily, and an optional storage bin beneath the driver's seat is big enough for an iPad. The center console was specifically designed to fit a Kleenex box, and the space ahead of the shifter, which optionally houses a wireless charging pad, is larger even for the biggest of modern smartphones. The XC40 is the first Volvo with wireless phone charging, but in another sign of the times, it does not have an auxiliary audio jack or a CD player. There are some neat tricks for the trunk, too, where an optional fold-up floor can be raised to create a barrier closer to the seatbacks to keep grocery bags from wandering. It also has 3 hooks when raised for hanging more bags. It's also possible to stow the parcel shelf upside down underneath the trunk floor, which is far more convenient than having to stow it in the car or in your garage. The cargo area is a roomy 20.7 cubic feet with the seats up, with them folded flat to the floor, that expands to 47.2 cubic feet. Volvo says there's almost 5.5 feet of distance from the front seatbacks to the liftgate. Those cargo figures eclipse what you'll find in an Audi Q3 or Mercedes-Benz GLA 250, but are slightly behind what BMW offers in the X1. The launch model in the US is called T5, Volvo speak for a 2.0-liter turbo 4 engine, 8-speed automatic, and all-wheel drive. It's a stout little powertrain, with 248 horsepower and 258 pound-feet delivered without fuss. Fleet on its feet when you put your foot down, the XC40 is also cool and collected in the city. You'll rarely notice the transmission shifting, and power delivery is supremely linear. That said, there's a lot of noise and vibration when the engine kicks back on after a stop-start moment at a traffic light. And the turbo mill plays a grim monotone at all speeds, though fortunately that fades into the background when cruising with the transmission in its top gears. Volvo officials warned that our test cars were the stiffest riding models, with the R design's upgraded springs and dampers and optional 20-inch wheels. Maybe it's the sheer flawlessness of Spain's roads, but the warning was totally unwarranted. With McPherson struts up front and a multi-link arrangement in back, the ride and handling mix is mature. The XC40 smooths out roads and doesn't get unsettled over the few rough patches of pavement on our drive loop. The Momentum trim, on 18 or 19-inch wheels and its slightly gentler suspension tune, should be plenty plush, though I'll reserve full judgment, as always, until trying the car on pothole-strewn roads back home. As in a lot of new Volvos, the electric power steering has spot-on feel through its motion, easy to whip from lock to lock when parking, no unexpected changes in effort on the move, and lots of on-center stability. There's a wonderful smoothness to the steering action, as if all the linkages slide on butter. What you won't find is much steering feel, but that's the same for this car's rivals, too. In cut-and-thrust rush-hour traffic heading back to the hotel in Barcelona, I'm pleased to find the racy rear door styling doesn't hurt over-your-shoulder visibility as much as I expected. Though there is a healthy blind spot in the rear quarters, the rear window large enough that it's not a big deal. Plus, blind spot warning and big mirrors mitigate worries in traffic. Base prices are competitive with rival crossovers. The XC40 T5 Momentum, which Volvo predicts to be the volume model, starts at $35,200 before destination. Standard goodies include 18-inch wheels, a power liftgate, LED headlights, a 4-year subscription to the Volvo on-call telematics service with smartphone-based remote start, the 9-inch Sensus touchscreen and 12-inch color instrument cluster, and Volvo's City Safety pre-collision braking system. However you purchase it and whatever you pay for it, you'll be extremely happy with the 2019 Volvo XC40. The car succeeds because it's good at a little bit of everything. There is no shortage of clever places to store lots of stuff inside, great maneuverability in urban driving, and a useful complement of technology. Better still, the XC40 doesn't skimp on any of the design, plush trim, or competent driving dynamics of its more expensive cousins. This isn't a cheap car that's been dressed up with some leather bits. It's a car that was clearly designed from the start to be an upmarket experience.